I was kicked out at 18, for my sister's future. And now, I'm her boss. Sounds like some cliché revenge story, right? But trust me, this is nothing like you've imagined. It started on a rainy night, the kind where the sky seems to mourn along with you. I was packing the last of my things, my childhood room now just empty walls echoing with every memory. My parents, they didn't look me in the eyes. They said it was for my sister. She had opportunities, they said, dreams too big for the small town we were trapped in. And me? I was just in the way. I could feel every word like fire burning through my chest, but I swallowed it. I had no choice. I walked out into that storm with nothing but a backpack and a promise to myself. A promise I'd keep, no matter how long it took. The first years, they were brutal. I lived in cramped apartments, slept on couches, worked jobs nobody dreams of. Fast food, cleaning offices, delivering packages, whatever paid enough to keep me alive. Every night, when the world slept, I stared at my reflection and whispered, "You'll show them. You'll prove them wrong." And slowly, almost invisibly, I started building connections here, ideas there, one tiny spark after another. I learned business the hard way. Felt betrayal like a shadow that never left. But I didn't quit. I refused. And then one day an opportunity came. A small company, struggling, ready to be taken over. Something clicked in me, and I dived in headfirst. That was the beginning of my empire. Years passed. I grew stronger, sharper, smarter. And then the twist I never expected. My sister, the reason I was cast out, walked into my office. She didn't recognize me at first. She was bright, ambitious, the very image my parents had sacrificed me for. And there she was asking for a meeting, pitching an idea. A little spark of pride hit me, and a little pain, because she had no idea who I really was. Or maybe she did, and the fear in her eyes told me everything. She called me Miss Claire, not realizing who she was talking to. Her voice trembled slightly when she spoke about her company, small, new, desperate for investors. I listened carefully, studying her the way a stranger studies art. She looked happy, confident, like she'd lived a life free of struggle. And that stung, because I had lived the opposite. But I hid it behind a calm smile. After her presentation, I leaned back in my chair and asked, "Why should I trust you?" Her eyes widened a little. She fumbled through her notes, trying to sound convincing. Every word she spoke reminded me of what I'd lost, and how far I'd come. I wanted to tell her who I was. I wanted to see the shock on her face. But something stopped me. Maybe it was the way she nervously tucked her hair behind her ear. The same way I used to. Or maybe, I wanted her to see me for what I had become, not for who I was. That night, I sat alone in my penthouse, staring out at the city lights. I should have felt victorious. I had everything I'd ever dreamed of, success, wealth, respect. But why did it all feel empty? Why did seeing her bring back every wound I'd buried deep inside? I closed my eyes, and for the first time in years, I thought of home. The smell of Mom's cooking, the laughter in the living room. Before everything changed. Before I was replaced. The next morning, I made my decision. I called her company and said, "You're hired, but you'll work directly under me." I could almost hear her shock over the phone. She agreed, of course. She needed the deal. She had no idea what she was walking into. The first week she started, the office seemed to buzz differently. Everyone loved her energy, except me. I watched her every move, every smile, every careless laugh. She reminded me of everything I wasn't allowed to be. Carefree, protected, loved. She was good at her job, though too good. She worked late, stayed focused, and impressed even my toughest clients. One evening, she walked into my office after hours. "Miss Claire," she said softly, "I just wanted to thank you. This opportunity means the world to me." Her voice cracked, just slightly. I looked up at her, and for a second, I saw my little sister again. The one who used to follow me around, who cried when I left for school. My throat tightened, but I kept my mask on. "You've earned it," I said coolly. She smiled, that same innocent smile I used to protect. But something about her expression lingered, almost like she knew something. When she left the room, I found myself digging through the old memories again. Photos, letters, fragments of a life I'd buried. I didn't realize how much I'd missed having a sister until she was standing in front of me every day, not knowing I was the one she'd once shared a room with. That night, I made a call to my mother's old number. It rang and rang until a voice answered. Hello. My chest froze. Mom. Silence. Then she hung up. That was when I realized they hadn't just kicked me out. They'd erased me. Days turned into weeks, and my emotions became harder to hide. My sister, Emily, was getting too close. She'd started confiding in me, sharing things about her life, her struggles, her regrets. One night, over coffee in my office, she said something that shattered me inside. You know, I had a sister once. Older than me. She left when I was little. My parents never talked about her again. I froze. The words hit like a knife. She continued, her voice trembling. Sometimes I think it was my fault. I was sick a lot back then. My parents spent everything on my treatment. They said she couldn't stay anymore. I used to cry at night, thinking she hated me. I looked at her across the table, my hands trembling. Every wall I had built started to crack. She had no idea that the woman sitting in front of her was the same sister she cried for. I'm sure she didn't hate you, I whispered. Maybe she just had to go. She smiled sadly. I hope so, because I'd give anything to tell her I'm sorry. When she left that night, I sat in the dark, tears finally breaking through the years of control. All this time, I thought I was the victim. But maybe she had suffered too. Still, one thing was clear. My parents had used both of us. And it was time to face them. The next morning, I drove to my old house. The gate was the same, but everything else felt smaller. I rang the bell. My mother opened the door and froze. Her face went pale. Claire, she whispered. I nodded. For a moment no one spoke. Then my father appeared behind her, his expression unreadable. I just came to talk, I said quietly. I'm not here to fight. We sat in the living room, surrounded by memories that seemed too heavy to breathe through. My father cleared his throat. We did what we had to do. Emily was sick. We couldn't afford both of you. I stared at him. So you chose her? He didn't answer. You could have asked me to help, I said. But instead you threw me away. My mother's eyes filled with tears. We thought we were saving both of you. We were wrong. I stood up. No, you were selfish. But I survived. And now she works for me. The shock in their faces was almost satisfying, but deep down it hurt more than it healed. I didn't come for revenge, I said. I just needed to see if you'd admit it. My father looked down, shame finally breaking through his pride. I'm sorry. It wasn't enough. But it was something. A week later, Emily found out. Not from me, but from someone in the company who had overheard everything. She stormed into my office, eyes full of confusion and betrayal. You're my sister? She whispered. I didn't move. Why didn't you tell me? I tried to explain, but she wasn't listening. You made me work for you, like I was just another employee. Do you have any idea how cruel that is? Tears streamed down her face, and every word she said broke me a little more. I didn't do this to hurt you, I said softly. I wanted to see you succeed, to see if you were happy. She shook her head. You could have just said my name. I would have remembered. I would have. Her voice cracked. I missed you every day. Before I could say anything else, she turned and walked out. And for the first time since I was 18, I felt that same emptiness again. The difference was, this time it was my fault. Days passed with silence. She stopped coming to work. The office felt heavier, like the walls knew what I'd done. I wanted to call her, to apologize, but I didn't know where to start. Then one morning, I found an envelope on my desk. It was from her. Inside was a letter. I don't hate you. I just need time. You became everything I dreamed of being. I'm proud of you, even if it hurts. I just wish you hadn't faced it all alone. I'll come back when I'm ready. Emily. My hands shook as I read it. Relief and sorrow tangled together in my chest. For once, I didn't feel like the boss or the victim. I just felt human. That night, I drove to the beach, The one we used to visit as kids. I sat on the sand, watching the waves crash, and whispered into the wind, "I'm sorry, Emily. I should have told you sooner." The sea didn't answer, but somehow, I felt lighter. Months passed. Then one morning, I walked into my office and saw her standing there, smiling. "I'm back," she said softly. For a moment, I couldn't move. Then I hugged her, something I hadn't done in over a decade. We sat together, talking for hours. She told me about her dreams, her regrets, and I told her everything. The nights I cried myself to sleep, the days I fought to survive. We laughed. We cried. And for the first time in years, I felt home. Later that evening, as we looked out over the city from my office window, she said, "You know, you didn't just become my boss. You became my reason to believe that no matter how broken things get, they can be rebuilt." I smiled through tears. "Maybe that's what family is," I said. "Not perfect, but worth fighting for." The story didn't end in revenge. It ended in understanding, in forgiveness. Because sometimes, the people who hurt us the most are the ones who teach us the meaning of strength. And forgiveness, real forgiveness, doesn't make you weak. It sets you free.